For this week's playlist, I want to talk about songs that are generally referred to as non-album tracks. These are songs that bands record for compilations, soundtracks, B-sides, and generally unreleased material, and the practice has been going on for decades. There are tons of these non-album tracks out there that are absolutely amazing, so I tried to stick to stuff that I really enjoy, as well as bands that I haven't previously featured in the playlist. And yes, many of them are products of the past 2 decades, but that's really because of the rise of the cassette and CD single, songs like this became more prevalent. The first non-album track I want to talk about comes from the Notorious B.I.G., and it's the remix to his song One More Chance. Though the original version of this song can be found on his seminal Ready to Die record, this remix first appeared on the single for the song of the same name and was then used on a number of compilations. The lyrics are completely different on the remix, and it also features a hook from the classic DeBarge song, Stay With Me. I've always been a huge fan of Biggie, and this may be my all-time favorite track he ever recorded. Highly recommended. Next up is a song that combines 2 phenomenal artists into one, and it truly defines the term hidden gem. Recorded for the Born to Choose compilation back in 1993, the song is called Photograph, and it features the band R.E.M. with second vocals by none other than 10,000 Maniacs frontwoman Natalie Merchant. For those who love the sound of either of those bands or the so-called alt-rock movement of the early 1990s, this is as close to a holy grail song as you're ever gonna get, and it remains one of my all-time favorite recordings from any era or musical genre. It goes without saying that the vocals of Natalie Merchant and Michael Stipe blend in a way that is somehow beyond beautiful. And in short, there's nothing I don't outright adore about this song. Get it now. The next song I want to suggest to you is a classic that you've no doubt heard countless times, but you may not be aware that it is in fact a non-album track. Originally being released as part of the soundtrack to the movie American Gigolo, over the decades almost no other song has been able to compare to Blondie's classic, Call Me. There's an energy and a bounce to this track that have rarely been equaled, and that's much the reason the song continues to receive regular airplay to this day. On a side note, if you want a very interesting take on this song, Blondie actually re-recorded the entire song with the lyrics being done in Spanish, and they put it out as part of the Call Me single. It's definitely worth tracking down. My fourth non-album selection is a late-era Aerosmith song that remains relatively unknown, but is without question one of the band's best ever recordings. In 1993, the group was riding high on the Livin' on the Edge song, but it comes from the B-side of the single of that song, where you find one of the most stellar non-album tracks the band ever did. The track is called Can't Stop Messin', and it digs very deep into the band's blues rock roots, and it has one of the best musical shelf lives of any song in the band's catalog. There's a tension and an energy on this song that Aerosmith rarely achieved during this era of their career, and for anyone who appreciates this band before their music went sour, this has to be in your collection. To be honest, the last track I'm going to suggest to you is actually the one that inspired this entire segment, and it's a song I fell in love with the moment I heard it. It's almost impossible to find a decent recording of this song, as it's never been done in the studio, and it's only been played live a small handful of times. Featuring nothing more than a piano and the voice of Adam Duritz, I'm talking about the largely unknown and ever-elusive title track to Counting Crows' album, August and Everything After. A rather echoey version of this was released as the B-side to the 2004 single Hangin' Around, but I did manage to find a better sounding vocal version, and I've linked it below. This may very well be the most moving lyric that Adam Duritz ever penned, and I choose to believe that the reason it was never formally recorded in the studio and is so rarely played live is because it's so outright beautiful, delicate, and deep. So those are a few non-album tracks I definitely suggest you check out. As always, I've linked them in the show notes below so you can hear them right now. Make sure you check back here every Sunday for more music recommendations, and be here every day for all the music news, reviews, and knowledge you'll ever need.